I was born of the 42 ideals of Ma'at. My mother is nature. My father is time. I am a Neski queen. Okay. All right, Baltimore. We are here at another second Thursday. This is the second Thursday of March. Now, I apologize if there's a delay. I was just testing everything. Everything seemed to be fine. I hope that it's not a delay on the live. From what I'm seeing now, it seems as if it was a delay. It may be a delay. I apologize for anyone, but please make sure you're listening in because we have a great conversation going on tonight. I'm here with a good friend of mine by the name of BUKWEETZ. BUKWEETZ is from DC, and he deals with farming and so a few other more things that I'm gonna let him make sure he break it down because I don't want to miss say anything because he's a pro at what he do and I'm just a fan. All right. So this is episode 11 of Be More Mindful podcast. I am your host, Aneski Anna Kimset. Everyone knows how we go here. We start off with a simple little what I call itinerary, and we start off by first letting everyone know that this is a platform for conversation to discuss mental and social barriers and how they affect our culture, and also as a way to incorporate the cultural arts and show how participating in the arts can help cope with any social and mental barriers. So again, we are live, and I apologize if there is any delay in the video, but I'm pretty sure the sound is clear. So check in, listen up. I thank y'all for growing with me. We are now shooting from Full Authors Media Network, which we know has been in full effect since the beginning of the year. And I, being your host, Neski, am here just to get ready to tap into something a little different. I'm going to let my guest BUKWEETZ tell what he do and tell you all how what he does help him or others cope with social and mental barriers. BUKWEETZ, the floor is yours.
All right. First of all, my name is BUKWEETZ. I'm the founder of Rap Road Genetics. We're a soil manufacturing company and also are into genetics. I make cannabis strains, and I do workshops teaching people how to basically be self-sufficient, more or less, how to grow your own vegetables, how to grow your own cannabis plants now that it's legal and recreational for you to do so, and how to make that self-sufficient for your pockets and not necessarily something that will drain you financially and can kind of help you save money, because if you're growing some of your own vegetables, you're not spending much money at the grocery store, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just kind of specialize in that area. I do a lot of collaborations with I'm in a farming co-op, so I do a lot of collaboration with local farmers markets, things of that nature. So it's really all about community building for me. Your audio went out. Thank you, audio.
Thank you. Dealing with the organizations and doing what you're doing, I'm pretty sure you can see an effect in the community and our culture, mentally and socially. So can you just give us insight on how participating in such things could help us deal with these things?
I mean, it's self-empowering. A lot of people don't think that they can do things until they see somebody else do it or they try to do it themselves. So once somebody, accomplishes something, that gives them the drive or initiative to try to continue learning and building on that one thing. So to me, it's a mindset. It just kind of helps create a different mindset. And with today's climate, that mindset is needed, in my opinion. We don't want to be completely reliant on all of these different systematic things. So getting back in touch with the soil or gardening as a whole, to me, is something that is self-fulfilling. So I try to spread that to as many people as possible, and you'll find a lot more people are like-minded than you would think. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot, it's a lot of plant moms out here. It's a lot of plant daddies and plant groups and people that like to get their hands into botany, so to speak, because that's all it is botany. They just don't think that certain things equate, or they've never tried to do certain things like grow simple herbs or vegetables. That's not. They may think it's more complicated. Now it does take work. It's not something you can just wing and just um, not put any effort or passion into. You gotta be consistent with it, but it's very obtainable. So that's kind of like my mindset, just opening people's eyes and getting them in tune to the possibilities that are around them. Thank you. On mute.
I can relate to that because I definitely I have a heart for gardening, but I don't have what they consider a green thumb. And so
Yeah.
I've tried a few things. I've killed the cactus and the snake plant, which are the two plants that I was told are the hardest to kill. But I don't know. I don't know where it goes wrong with me because I try. I do the watering. I do the nurturing. I'm always like, does it need sun? Um, I
The
admit
sun.
every now and again I might forget the water. You know how I like might forget to feed the goldfish, but I
I
tried to be
think
on top of it. It didn't
I
come out
think
right.
the most common thing that people do as newbies is either not enough care or too much care. So, sometimes it's like overwatering in the beginning. You got to find your flow first, and then you're not gonna succeed immediately. It's not something that you're overly familiar with, so you're gonna kill a couple plants. That's fine. Keep on going until you figure it out. Like my my wife, she wanted to get into house plants, and she killed um many and many and many a house plants before she found her groove, so to speak. And now she's like the plant mom. She's taking clones and propagating the plants and moving them around. And like some of them have been in here for years now. But that first little stumbling out of the gate, she just didn't get deterred. And that's kind of, she had that same sentiment like, what am I doing wrong? I try to do everything. It comes with the bumps. You know what I'm saying? You got to take those learning curves, so to speak. Just keep getting back into it.
Yeah, I'm sticking with you this year. I'm not going to come out to a couple of potting workshops. We're going to get it in because that's a goal of mine. A goal of mine for sure. And just because this is crazy how whenever I go to have a show, it's interesting how the universe sets a lot of things up for the conversation that I go to have. And my show is most of my topics are planned out at least 4 weeks or so in advance. And so
Mhm.
the irony of just having this conversation is right before you called me to try to link up, I was looking into trying to get into find a place where I can put a garden wherever I choose to move at. I wanted to be able to at least, even if it's just like you was mentioning, just a little section, because I was
Yeah,
going to try to start off with just maybe garden flowers or something that I work at. I'm in a lot of nice neighborhoods, and people just able to have this little 1-2 feet worth of space that looks really well. And I'm like, well, maybe I could try a nice little space with something that doesn't need a lot of attention per se, like a house plant, and just can require the natural elements around it to
yeah,
survive. But and just as I was thinking that, then you called and we were trying to work on having a workshop. So I'm hoping anyone that checks in that has any space or land or time to help give or donate, or sponsor, however we can get and have a conversation. Even if one thing I like about you, you do look at the fact that This is something that can also help create a income or create a a source of revenue. This isn't just about playing in dirt. And so
There's a
yeah.
business model around anything that you are passionate about. You just gotta find the business model. So like farming is a business model. There are people I know farmers who make a living off of crops. They grow a specific crop. They don't try to grow everything. They specialize in one or two things every season, and they grow a shit ton of it. And then
Wow.
they sell that to the local grocery stores. They have farmers markets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's a pathway to natural agriculture. There's grants, all types of stuff available. If that's your thing, you just gotta, you know, go down the rabbit hole and do the due diligence to find out what the business is around said practice. Um, and then go after it. Like, anything's possible. That's what I tell anybody. If you put your
Right.
mind to it, anything's possible.
I totally
As far
agree. Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as like the space in gardening or like the getting started part of it, you don't necessarily need. I mean, it's all in. The more space, the more you can produce, obviously. But if you're just getting started, you don't have to have a shit ton of land or what have you. There's people in apartments that have massive
I
plants
agree.
all
I've seen.
in your balcony. You just have to kind of be mindful of what you can grow in your environment because various things grow in various spaces. So figure out like what time zone you're in, how much sun you're going to get a day, where your shade spots are and whatnot. And then you grow crops that will benefit in those environments and you'll have success. Everything's not going to thrive everywhere. I
Mm,
can't put a palm tree in my backyard and expect it to be as luscious as it would be in Florida or California. It's not native here.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So all those
Man,
things come into play.
that's deep. That's deep. I hope, listen, somebody listening, if y'all run that back, man, that shouldn't even go over your head. This man just literally said everything, needs its own environment to grow. And so we need to think about that. I think that just resonates not just for plants but for human beings, too, as well. Things need certain environments and certain nutrients, like say even down to the amount of sunlight and shade time. That is how we need to be treating each other as well, to
Yeah.
understand that a person needs to be in their right environment to grow. So if you find yourself in a situation and you don't think you're growing, be more mindful. Be more mindful of the environment you're in. Think about this conversation and how it can apply not just to the plants growing or farming. Think how it can apply to your life. So man, that was an awesome introduction. And again, I apologize if anyone is witnessing any lagging, but I'm most certain the audio is fine, and it's just about having a conversation here and be more mindful. And we go right get into our episode topic. And for those of you all know the itinerary, I'll bring up the episode topic, and I always drop a flyer before the show with a quote on it. And I just asked my guest, and now we're just going to break down the quote and how our point of view and how we feel about what a particular person may have said. So the quote for episode 11 is coming from an African, and I apologize for not having all of the research on this person, but I was definitely taken by the quote. And it says, the ultimate goal of farming is not the growing of crops, but the cultivation and perfection of human beings. And that was said again by Master Nobu Fukuoka. And I tried my best to remember the pronunciation, but I honestly believe that BUKWEETZ, you tapped on that a little bit in your intro, and like you said, it was about a common goal and people coming together to set motive to a common goal and using that to encourage and empower each other, not just individually but as a community and as a culture. And again, my personal experience with actually farming has not been as fruitful as I would like, But I come from my stepdad. He actually owns a farm on North Avenue in Baltimore City and off of North and Duncan. He actually has his face painted on the wall right by his garden. He is like a major figure in that part of the community. And that garden that he has been there all of about 25 years or so. Definitely 25 years. And I remember him getting up as early as 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, be gone, get back about 7 or 8 in the morning, sit in for a while, then get back out and go over to the garden again sometime in the afternoon and stay there till the cool of the the evening and leaving. And so I witnessed the results of that, though. He would go to certain contests. I remember quite a few times he won the watermelon contest and such. And so I remember, the carrots and the shapes of the fruit and how, and just having that. It would always make me think about when my mom would go to make her chicken soup, and she would be using the vegetables that grew in the garden. And yeah, it actually it brought such a certain feel to the home, because again, he, yeah, it was really cool. It was cool when he would bring in some of the fruits, the ones that may have been premature, or then he might bring in some that have gotten rotten or gotten it, of course we live in the city, so of course rodents may have gotten some, and he'd be tossing them. I'd be like, a bag full of vegetables or whatever it is. But I've known him to grow from his cabbage, lettuce, collard greens. I've known him to grow quite some things. And so yes, it definitely is an experience. Yeah. So what do you from someone who just touched on a little bit, but can you break that down a little bit more about the quote? He says, farming isn't just about, growing these vegetables. It's about, he said the cultivation of human beings. And I thought that was very artistic, very intriguing.
How do I feel about the quote? Man, it's a powerful statement. It's basically saying that it's like one of those, if you plant the fruit, if you plant the seed, it will grow type scenarios. You plant the mindset, um, and harness it, you'll see the fruit start to come out in later generations or down the line, so to speak. Um, that's an approach we don't often take nowadays. We don't invest in ourselves or invest in our
Mm,
peers or our own communities. We kind of just sit around and complain about shit and hope somebody else fixes it. So um hearing a quote like that is could be eye opening for some, and for others it kind of like just already clicks because it's something they already do in practice, investing in themselves, investing in others, cultivating a mindset or a lifestyle that will bear fruit because of the process. It's
right.
kind of like farming in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you definitely preaching. I'm telling you. One thing I tell all my guests. Every time I get full, I get a word and a message, and that's why I encourage people to tap in to the show and have the conversation, because these I think these are things that people don't really talk about, but I feel like it's very important to have this conversation, and especially we're growing up in a generation now. Everything is microwave, and everything is in a box or a can, or you pop it out, you put some water on it, and the whole meal grow. And
Life is automated in itself. Life is automated right now. Everything kind of just wants, everyone wants things automatic or accelerated. So, you know,
yeah, and
growing
so
and
it's
cultivating takes time.
that's right. I would say it takes away
Not
from the
something
process.
people very much cherish these days. So, I mean, Baltimore is a food desert. So,
Mm,
something has to change. There's not a whole bunch of grocery stores around the city.
that's
You
right.
know, there's food marts here, there's corner stores, and, Dollar Trees and things of that nature. But those aren't. It's not an abundance of options for healthy food.
That's right.
So these are things that people need to take seriously, whether they want to or not. You know, I think it's changing. A lot of people are like really into gardening nowadays. That's why I don't have a lot of. I don't really have to go around preaching, so to speak, because people are naturally wanting to get into being self-sufficient in every facet, whether it's cannabis cultivation, so they don't have to pay nobody to consume, or it's trying to save some corners on going to the grocery store because food prices are going up. Like life is expensive, so people are waking up to the
Mm-hmm.
fact they have to do something different because everybody's not going to be making $80,000, $100,000 a
That's
year to
right.
where they keep going to the eating out every day. It's not
Right.
sustainable. It's definitely not healthy. So got to worry about your health as well.
That's right. I totally agree. I totally agree with you. And so we touched on certain options for people who are like me, who just have that little trouble starting to get into the growing mode. But um what kind of fruits or vegetables would you suggest someone who doesn't have exactly actually groundwork, to do any planting? I know you mentioned apartments, so what kind of plants or vegetables, and of course we know the cannabis can be grown, but I would definitely want to focus on the vegetables, because again we're talking about health, and we've already had a few conversations before about how what you eat affects your mental and emotional health. And so I wanted to make sure you definitely just attacking all the points that I wanted to make sure that this was put out there, and the benefits of farming or planting, growing your own actual vegetables, food to eat.
Like I won't. It's hard to suggest the starter. It's like
Hmm.
everybody's green thumb may be a little bit different. You need all that. No, I guess I would say start with herbs. Herbs are really easy. They require a lot of sun, in most cases, but they're relatively easy to grow. Um, and insects don't care for them much, so you don't have to worry about something coming and like eating it or
Oh
um,
wow.
type of infestation or what have you. Peppers are really easy to grow. They grow pretty vigorously. They require a lot of sun, so all of that kind of is dependent on your location. But like they have so much stuff now that you can use to cultivate in or outdoors. It's kind of like, what is your budget? Because they have grow tents, and most people use grow tents for indoor cannabis cultivation, but you can also grow vegetables in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to use it for you can use it for whatever you like. So I know some people that have grow tents that they grow vegetables in during the winter time because they want to keep their thing going, and then when it gets warm, they go back outside. You know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
like I know one person that brings their well, they did it the first couple of years. They had bought their lemon tree inside into a grow tent over the winter because it wouldn't have survived outside here during the winter. It's a southern plant. So they didn't root it. They had it in a big pot the first year or so. And they just kept bringing it in and out during the season for the first year or so, 2 years. And then eventually it was big enough to do what it needed to outside. But there's ways around it. It's like, how interested are you in getting into it? If you're
Right.
really trying to just grow something, then go buy some house plants from Home Depot or wherever, the closest nursery. Go to a farmer's market or something. They have some, well, that's in Montgomery County, but they have a bunch of different farmers markets in every county in the state. And
Yeah, they
there's
do.
people there that's trying to spread the word to have produce for sale. If you don't want to grow it yourself, you can just support a local farmer because everybody can't or doesn't want to grow. So you can just support a local farmer, um, or you can just, try to get your hands in the dirt the best way you can see fit.
Sounds like a plan.
I
Yeah.
would start with herbs. Herbs are easy. House plants, depending on what type of house plant. That's a pretty much an easy starter.
Sounds
You
like a
just can't
plan.
eat it.
So Baltimore, there's a reason for herbs outside of cannabis now.
Yeah, that's
But
where all
no,
the
um,
antioxidants and the beneficial properties is
definitely.
in herbs.
It is. It is. And that's more important than anything. That's the information that um I really want people to get out there. Just
Yeah.
be
That's
more
where the
mindful,
seeds
broaden
really
your
start
mindset.
growing.
Yes, broaden your mindset beyond what the narrative that's being pushed right now. One of the first things I learned from BUKWEETZ, he actually I met him. He was the sole vendor at the main event for the doing too much comedy show. And one of the first things he said was that, when the laws passed that opened up the doors for people to start farming individually, it went beyond just cannabis. And that was the first time I really heard that this was something that benefited the culture outside of
Yeah,
what the media mainstream is pushing.
I was telling them that that July 1st was the day that they had went wrecked. This was like last summer, I think. It
Mm-hmm.
was the day that they was about to go wreck, and I was telling them like that there's a double meaning with that day. It's not just the day that you can go buy something from a dispensary without a card. It's also the day that you can start growing it yourself at home without having to go purchase something. So I was giving out a bunch of seeds. We
Yep.
went on like a campaign for like pretty much the whole summer. We were just giving out seeds to people and let them know like it, because the narrative was kind of like, July 1st is recreational. We can all go shop and smoke freely and da 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 da. And that wasn't the message I was kind of
Right.
trying to spread. I was like, y'all need to also know that you can now grow
Yeah.
cannabis at home so that you don't have to go purchase or go to wherever you was going before that. You can now do
Yeah.
it yourself if you want to.
Yeah, I felt, man, that the energy I felt in the crowd when you said that, I felt like, really, and you enlightened quite a few people had took heed to that information. Like, wow, like,
Yeah.
wow,
Nobody
and
knew it in the whole crowd. Nobody knew that.
no
Nobody
one
was
knew
like, "Oh, I could grow." And they was like, "For real?"
for
Like,
real.
yeah. Like, here goes
It,
some seeds. Take these home and put them in the ground.
yeah, and
Not in the ground, but in the pot.
it was an awesome moment, and I felt honored and humbled to, have been experienced the enlightenment of my people, because that's what this is all really all about, and part of my purpose is informing our people, like you say, for about literally planting seeds. Literally planting seeds. And even with my logo, that's why it is the multiple roots with the tree, because um my purpose, I feel in I'm destined to plant the seeds that will grow to bear, great fruit. And so, it was awesome. And that's why I just had to, when you call, get you on the show, and spread that information and go even deeper, because you are doing things beyond just that. And so that with that being said, man, that was just, yeah, that just brought back a moment. It just took me there, but I'm not, I'm not going to explain that anymore. I'm going to get ready to get into our next part of the segment. Anyone who is just joining, again, I apologize for any video lag, but I guarantee you the conversation can be heard, and it needs to be heard. I go back and listen to the podcast at least 3-4 days straight after they air, every one. And my goal is, as things grow for me, to eventually have people come back on and may even do a reunion show, or even get to the point where I am completely live and in person. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to keep planting seeds. And so we're going to get into the next part of the show, which I like to call experts versus experience. And give me a second, because my notes and everything fell. Um everyone knows that in this segment, experts versus experience, I do not claim to be licensed or certified. I don't have no doctorates and no not academically acclaimed to say that I can professionally speak on these things that I am speaking on. But I've been through some things. I've disclosed in the past my personal experiences with mental health and diagnoses and dealing with, the Western medicine world as far as those things are concerned. And so I feel like I have enough experience to, get up here and talk and speak on some things, and maybe even shed light, not necessarily give advice, but shed light that may help someone in some kind of way, whatever way possible. So I always make sure I give a disclaimer, let everyone know that, this is definitely for educational and informational purposes. Please don't go out here and say, Nesky said to do anything, because I didn't. I just said what I've been through and how it's affecting me and the things I've heard people say and what's going on. And I feel like I'm going to speak on it because I've been around. So today's expert versus experience comes from an article I was looking at on pbs.org, and the article was between uh reporter by the name of Ali Rogan and Andrew Corkery, and they had some researchers on. And you guys all know I like to cite my work. You can go onto pbs.org, you'll definitely find an article. But the research was on how there's a connection between ultra processed foods and depression. Okay. And so with that being said, I'm going to go right into the quote, and I'm going to give a little bit, and then we're going to wrap up a little early, get up out of here, because I appreciate Buckwheats for getting on. But we got to adhere and be mindful of each other's time. So real quick, researcher by the name of Olivia O'Kirky said that we know that processed foods involved with adding artificial flavorings, preservatives, whitenings, that sometimes involve modification to food itself, stripping it of some of its nutrient components. The other thing is that the chemicals involved in ultra processing of foods also may be unhelpful. So we think that they may be triggering some unhealthy biological processes that are the same things that could be predisposing to depression. So just to sum it up, she just basically said that they've been, goes into how they did research on different ethnic groups and all, how they break it down. And they basically come to find out that these additives and preservatives and all these things actually increase the diagnosis of depression, which we know is a major diagnosis in our culture and among our communities. And so I'm gonna let you go first on what your experience or what you think of this professional thought, and then I'm a going on and dive in with the rest of the show.
I would say that you are what you eat. You know, and what you put into your body has a very big role on your health, mentally and physically. So when you're eating a bunch of processed food or fast food, it's not healthy. Um, I seen something a while ago. It was a study that was saying something about slaughterhouses and
Mm,
how that it was basically a study showing the different practices of I guess getting the food from farm to table. So like they were showing the levels of like the hormones in the animals before they slaughter them. It's kind of like the body, the flesh holds on to that trauma, be it good or bad, and you're eating and consuming said trauma. Um, so like for instance, a slaughterhouse where they're just putting cows or pigs on the belt, and they just run them down and chopping their heads off and putting them in cages and then raising
mm,
them in horrible conditions. That is a very stressed out animal from
mm,
start to finish. You know what I'm saying? It's scared. It's constantly going through some traumatic things that's holding in the flesh versus let's say a farmer. I mean, neither one is necessarily not not barbaric in some form of fashion, whatever. But
Right.
a farmer who, is raising those same chickens or cattle with all grass fed, or a healthy upbringing. They're not stressing them out. They're treating them fairly well. They're in a great environment. They're kind of like raising them to be the uh the food, so to speak, but they're not
Hmm.
raising them in like a slaughterhouse, so to
Hmm.
speak, stressing the animal out, and then they end up, you know, meeting the same fate, but they're not holding on to the same traumas. Congesting that type of meat can transfer. So like these are different types of ideologies I've seen and heard. I think some of it bears a lot of weight. I think
Hmm.
what you put into your body definitely plays a role in um, how you feel and how you move and think. And if you're not eating, a lot of healthy things, or you're not hydrated properly, you're not going to be in the best of moods. You're not going to be thinking as clearly. You're not going to be as happy or outgoing or as active. All of that shit coming into play.
Right.
So if you're just sitting around eating curry out and fucking McDonald's every day,
Hmm.
and I don't
And
want to
wonder why
say
everybody fake. No.
like, yeah, you just drinking a bunch of concentrated juice
Right.
all day. You're not drinking water. You're not eating no salads. You're not eating anything that's, all that shit come into play. It's a
Yeah.
reason why certain cultures and people and different nationalities live longer or shorter lifespans. People that are inside of an inner city where they don't have a whole lot of natural healthy options tend to have shorter lifespans and more chronic diseases, whereas somebody who lives in the country and they don't have access to all of these different things and they're just eating off of the land, they tend to be a lot healthier and they live a little bit longer, maybe a lot longer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a reason why some countries ban certain products. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't necessarily test everything the same way in every country. So there's some product, like if you were to go to a fast food restaurant here and then go to that same fast food restaurant in France or London somewhere, it's not going to taste the same because they don't allow the same types of things and ingredients in their country. So they cook different. Their culture is different. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
all that shit come into play.
No, man, you just, yeah. I'm telling you, man, you just definitely you gave a whole lot. You gave a whole lot right there. And
Yeah,
I mean,
go
you
out of
just,
town and go out the country and go to, it could be something as simple as McDonald's. You know, it's a McDonald's in every country.
right,
Probably a Burger King or KFC or something to that effect at this point. You can go pretty much a lot of the American restaurants are in multiple countries.
right.
Get a stamp on your passport and go get something to eat at one of those places and tell me it tastes like the one by your house. I
Oh, listen.
guarantee.
I did actually. The interesting thing about that, when I was going to school, I was in college, and I did a research on something like. But anyway, I had to look at menus from McDonald's. The menus in McDonald's in France is not the menus here. The menus that they
Oh,
have over in, is not the menu here. So, no, I totally agree. If
yeah,
you go to
all
other
the food.
countries, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I mean,
Everybody
some of them
has their
really
own
actually have
standard.
salad, like real salad, like spinach with, and this was a side at McDonald's.
Yeah,
At McDonald's,
every country has their own standard and whatnot, so it's going to be different everywhere you go. Um, but the way we live here is pretty much fast and furious. So
now I was about
that's
to say inferior from the
pretty
inside
much how it
out.
is. So you gotta kind of take yourself out of it sometimes, take a step back and try to be mindful of what you're doing.
That's right. And I thank you, BUKWEETZ. I know you let me know that you had a limited time, and I appreciate your time
No
that you
doubt.
had. I'm gonna go on and wrap it up. I'm gonna go on and give my mindful thought. I'm not even gonna pull up the quote. Because the thing is, I just want everyone to understand this. We are the soul of the earth. It is up to us to make sure that we are planting seeds and nurturing and seasoning each other to a point that we are bearing productive fruit. Fruit that will go on to bear more productive fruit. And some of the things that we need to be more mindful about is how we are consuming our food and accumulating our food. As we know, he mentioned that we are in what is considered a food desert. I just was talking about how we're economically set up to eat unhealthy. That's why we do, like he mentioned, have a Save a Lot here, which has a bunch of processed canned food, unhealthy unhealthy products, chemicals going into our body that is throwing our natural chemical balance off, and it's adding to the issues that we have to cope with in our culture. Even in talking about the food, buying meat, we are what we eat. Energy is real. So if I'm eating from an animal that's been just as stressed out as I am in life, of
Yeah, you're
course
gonna get
my
double
stress
stress
and
out.
my impact is going to be double. So
Yeah.
Baltimore, beyond Baltimore, be more mindful.
Support
Be
local farmers and
that
search up the Mid Atlantic Black Farmers Co-op. It's the Black Farmer Co-op on at Black Farmer Co-op on Instagram. It's a collective of farmers in the Mid Atlantic area. That means Maryland, Virginia, and DC. They all cultivate. They all do farmers markets all around the region. Give them a follow. I think they just launched a website recently, I believe. So whereas it's basically gonna be a grocery store online. So
mm,
they'll be able to you'll be able to shop for your produce that they farm themselves on their website and get it shipped to you. So you don't really have a lot of excuses these days. Just get to it.
there you go, Baltimore. And Buckwheats, before we get up out of here, let them know how they can get in touch with you if they need any more information.
You know, follow me at BUKWEETZ as you see it on the screen. BUKWEETZ on IG. Doing soil workshops all summer. Uh, Holler at me. Try and get this work in. Let's go.
Let's go. I thank y'all, Baltimore, again. I apologize for the video delay. We're going to get it together. I'm planting seeds. I'm reaping what I sow, which I believe will be that of good fruit because I have a purpose. I love y'all. Thank you, Buckwheats. And we'll catch y'all on the fourth Thursday of the month. I got a special guest. I'll show y'all the fly be coming out soon. I'm gonna get this streaming together. We're not gonna have all this lagging. Other than
Yeah,
that,
I do
y'all,
it in
be more
person.
mindful.
All right.
Definitely. Peace.